Also, just for my curiosity, is it Google and YouTube, all these owned by an individual person, or is it...
So the founding stake in the company is largely owned by the founding team, which is Larry and Sergey, these two boys, and my husband, and 2 or 3 other professors. So we are the founding stakeholders in the company, and YouTube is owned by Google. And now Google is being owned by a company called Alphabet.
In retrospective, did you get a perspective on your husband's death? Like,
Only
first
that.
it must have been shock and, disbelief and anger and,
And grief.
disillusionment
And grief also.
So, did you get a kind of, perspective on why this happened? Did you try to understand that, or it's like, beyond understanding?
So I tried asking him, actually, that, are you there? Are you gone? Are you really just gone like this? Where are you? And to be honest, I started getting some answers through certain coincidences and serendipitous things that started happening.
Is it proper to really go into the detail, like what kind of signal you got? What exactly happened?
So
example?
I'll give you an example. So first few times that I had, when I asked him, so I went, on the day that he died, actually, we had a lot of media, so CNN and NBC, BBC and all these guys, they were just all trying to figure out what's going on. Sunny, thank you for joining us.
She was asking after her husband's death, are you there? So she was saying, I used to get some kind of,
signals.
So I was asking exactly what signal did you get?
Right. So the first day, a lot of media and this and that, right? So I managed to push everybody out, and finally at some point I went alone into his home office. I shut the door, and I said, "What happened? Like, where did you go? You are the algorithms guy. You figure out whatever algorithms you have to figure out, because you are the computation guy. You told me nothing is random. Help me understand what this is, okay?" So in a couple of days, I get a dream, okay? And I said, you better come back. It's not acceptable if I don't see you. So a couple of days later, I get him in my dreams. He shows up and says, I'm here. I said, how did you do this, Raju? So he says, I worked my algorithms and I'm back now. Only problem is there's a little bit of a software bug. So I'm about 4 inches taller than I was. Right?
Okay.
But I'm here.
Okay.
And I was like, this can't be. I mean, this is just unbelievable. It's so, I mean, what I'm saying is that this helped me have a healthy respect for the unknown. That we don't know what we don't know.
I think human beings are just a
channel.
It's this progression in evolution. How the nature is trying to evolve itself. That's how species from one species to other is getting better and better. So human being is the only being which can reflect on itself.
And we are not fully evolved yet.
Animals could reflect, but they cannot really form this language. They cannot really define it.
True.
Animal has their own way of reflecting things, but it's more refined in human beings.
True.
And our basic problem is when we start. This reflection thing only gave us a sense of separation, that we are separated from other things, the whole scheme of thing, and we can, we can control it, we can use it for our own gain, and that's the folly.
So do we use our faculties for our own selfish gains, or do we use our faculties for the overall goodness of human beings and mankind?
In West, they have experienced consumerism so much that now they have a need to find some other system, some other thing which makes them more wholesome.
Correct.
In India, we haven't yet experienced consumerism, so we are dying to experience consumerism.
But
our spirituality is dead. It's completely dead. We are just waiting for some guy to come and lay us so that we can experience consumerism.
My gut says that you have been having some experiences which are making you question your self and who you are. Can you tell us about that? What is it? I can see it. I can sense it.
No, see,
I know you're onto something.
when I was very young, when I was like 6 or 7, I was told about God, and I used to wait and I used to cry. I used to wait for the time for the prayer to come. And I literally used to wait कि pray ka time kab hoga, you know. I used to wait, and whenever I used to pray, I used to cry a lot. And then with that conception, I grew up, and suddenly, in 10th class or some time, I think in that class, my teacher told me, there's no blue sky up there. It's just darkness up there, you know. And suddenly everything shattered. I said, what? There's no blue sky up there? And suddenly I started questioning. And that questioning kept on going and going and going and going, you know. And then there was a period when I started looking at myself as a product of so many information, so many, you know, influences. I was operating as an automatic being. Like, you know, my parents taught me something, my society taught me something, my fear taught me something, my insecurities working on me, and I am, you know, I'm just a tool. I've been propelled by all those influences.
Forces, yeah.
And suddenly you realize, what are you? What is your freedom?
That scarcity mindset is different from the mindset of abundance.
Hello, I'm Anu.
Yes, Anu.
Yeah, this is a very important thing, you know, what you're saying. And there, because they are experiencing consumerism for such a long time, so is there need to go beyond that?
True,
and they understood the emptiness of,
Of consumerism.
this consumerism.
I've lived half my
In
life
fact,
in India, half my life in the US. So I disagree on that one. I find more people here who are spiritually inclined, who are here than I found in the US.
Here, sir, it's more of a dukandari. It's more of a greed. That, you know, if I do this, my future after my death is secured. It's a kind of greed, which is, you know, you are driven by that greed. That if I do this, my next janam would be, you know, taken care.
I agree with you.
And that's
We are in love with the idea of spiritualism. I think the way things are happening in our country, where is spiritualism?
Exactly.
Killing a person because you suspect he ate beef, is that spiritualism? And some of the people saying, yes, it's the right thing to do. Not allowing a Pakistani cricket or an author to come to India and say it's an enemy territory. Is that spiritualism?
Not really.
So, spending lavishly on weddings, on jewelry, and not bothered about people around. Is
Anu,
spiritualism?
that doesn't mean though that there aren't some pockets of thinkers and
100%.
philosophers in India.
But spirituality cannot be a monopoly of a country.
I think, you know, we have a responsibility or maybe a need, you know, to make people aware that they are product of so many influences. They have to find their own freedom. The system tries to curb you. The system tries to make you a puppet. Always. The religion, spirituality has been abducted by politicians everywhere, all over the world.
And the religious
And the
leaders.
priesthood.
Religious leaders,
Yeah.
exactly.
Religious
Religious
leaders.
leaders and politicians are, you know, are the same. It's, you know, they are working in tandem.
Absolutely.
So, the common man, the layman, should be free from all these, you know,
Only
garbages and, you know, greeds. That, you know, how, you know, it's a bizarre thing that so many communities and religion exist in this world, and everybody says my religion is very best. And they believe that after death, they will get a, more justified.
They'll get a spot.
How is it possible? And people believe this.
Spirituality for me is a way of life. How do you live? Nothing that I have an up on you just because I'm spiritual. No, it is the way I live, and I'm comfortable, I'm not harming anybody, and I'm impacting the world positively. For me, that's spirituality.
The thing is, you know, sometimes when you say you should keep your attitude positive, it's just a word. Sometimes people get influenced by it, but this is not something people will retain or sustain it. It has to come from an understanding of your own life. Sometimes what happens, we look for formulas. And there, in life, there are so many mix of things, you know. You could be, did I made my life, or it was some
Destiny.
signal, it was the destiny and my efforts. It's a combination of so many factors.
True.
You know, and sometimes what happens, we look for formulas. Okay, this is it. This will change it. You know, so this tendency of fast food, you know, which we are getting into. Like, you know, let's get the formula, and this is the formula. This will change it. Okay, we have elected a person, and he will change our life. No, it's just so many factors, so many things which brings change. You know, there's sometimes, you know, we rely on rationality, and some people rely on intuition. They never understand that it's a mix of everything. You know, it's a mix of combination of everything, which gives them a clue that what is what really matters.
I agree. But I also feel, and I agree with him, that we might have succeeded in life, and to take full credit and say, I did it, is wrong.
Yeah,
Circumstances helped us, destiny helped us. There are thousands of people who are malnourished.
The bottom line is, to whom much is given, a lot more should be expected.
Exactly.
Because you've been given a lot because you are supposed to do something with it. That's spirituality, that's way of living.
So
And
we
to
all
give up
tend
everything before we die.
Exactly.
तो साथ में तो कुछ जाने वाला है नहीं.
Exactly. You're only going to spoil
we
your
have
kids.
a lot in common now. We are saying spirituality is the way we lead our life.
Exactly.
And that if God has been very kind or you have made yourself some important, do something for them. Other people around, we are all agreeing. And it's no use just grumbling and passively criticizing.
See, that's
Do
where,
something.
see, that's where I believe Irrfan is a great role model, because he stayed off the beaten path when he did the movies. He made movies which were different. He took the chance, and he became everybody loves him for that. He can be a great role model to tell, say, what, I stayed off the beaten path. Look, I didn't have to go with the mainstream. I believed in something, I did it. You believe in it, do it. And he can be a fantastic role model.
That's
he can be a
true.
fantastic role model for the Ink fellows, for whatever you want to do.
Why is
He's-
it that
I think
we don't have
he's scratching the
people
surface
like
with what he
you
can do.
instead of these stupid politicians which are they're just corrupt, people with no lack of vision? Why is it that good people in India are not
You should use your
becoming
charisma, you should use your...
taking charge of some situations where they can have an impact, right?
Because it's an influx of a kind of cultural invasion which it is designed, which is not happening haphazardly. It is designed. We are forced to become consumeristic. We are forced to become dead. We are forced to become non-thinkers. Everything from all the influences are trying to make us like that. See our role models, the filmy people, film stars or cricketers. What do they contribute to society?
Exactly. It's
Nothing.
Very, very good point.
That's true.
Those are our role models.
And also how
media projects them.
And how do we know
The media doesn't project a person who's changing on the ground level. He's changing, he's affecting the society. They don't project him as a role
Right,
model.
and they'll show some
Yeah,
lady with a
newspaper-
Prada's shoes and Gucci
So
bag.
it's a whole
and-
design. And that's why,
It's a consumer design,
Yeah.
actually.
And how do you know that person is a good, if somebody's got fame, how do you know that person is really truly a good person to be a good role model? Search for that in every great person you find, in every famous person. Is that a good person? Is that a good human being? And let that good human being come out of people who have fame or whatever else been given to them. That's why I said, if you stay off the beaten path like you are great role models to be. Great role models for people of
Well,
all
you
ages
have
in
too,
India.
Sunny. You're just fishing for a compliment. You're fishing for a compliment, aren't you?
Honestly,
Religion-
think nobody should be a role model, because as soon as you make someone a role model, you'll find something wrong with that person and bring that person down. Admire some traits in that person.
Exactly.
Admire. I'm not saying, but don't make people role models. Learn from it.
Again,
We
that's a
made
shortcut if you-
Gandhiji a
yeah.
role model, and then found so many faults with him.
Yeah.
Put him up on a wall and don't practice what he says. So I feel I don't want to be ever a role model. If they like something which I'm doing, okay. But I'm full of my problems. I'm not a great person.
Another problem is this.
Huh?
The problem is this. Most people love to follow. They want to be led.
That's what India is suffering from.
I know, right?
They
That's so
have
true.
worldwide.
That is
Yeah,
so
This
true.
is worldwide.
Yeah, it is.
And we don't have
But
great...
we should not do that. Let each one find something from Imran, something from you, and decide what they want to do. Not fully, because I'm sure he smokes. And I don't want youngsters to start
Exactly,
smoking.
exactly.
So he's not my role model, and I like many things about them.
Yeah.
I'm doing something which you don't. I have a temper. You don't want people to. So I'm just saying, you have to eat.
Very good point. Absolutely good point.
No, but India, we have, I think in the last 200 years, we have a mentality of following.
Irrfan has a few to catch. I'm going to wrap this up in 30 seconds. So you have the last
Okay, so last few words of wisdom. You tell us, you're the film star, the hero, and tell us where are you headed first of all? What flight are you taking? Where are you going?
I'm going to Jaipur. I still have to promote one of the film, which is now in second week.
Okay.
So I'll be promoting that film, and also Jaipur has to be my hometown. So maybe
Nice.
I'll say hello to my mother and.
Okay.
My mother
Okay.
was from there too.
Okay.
Jaipur.
Where are you heading after this?
Chandigarh. No, actually Bangalore, then Chandigarh, maybe Seattle after that, because I split my time.
I'm going to Lahore and then I'm going to San Francisco to my daughter. I have a 9-year-old at home waiting for
Very
Mama. And how about yourself?
I'm right here till Sunday, so I'm not heading anywhere.
I just want to, the last thing of this. Sometimes, we are audacious enough to understand God or understand reality, and I think that's the biggest folly. And we shouldn't try to understand because you cannot understand.
Yeah, and we don't
it's
know
like
what we don't know.
you're a product of that.
Correct.
As you form a definition, the definition is already changed because I think consciousness is an ongoing, is evolving all the time.
True.
Once you look at it, it's already changed, and the known and unknown has a similar portion. If you know this much, the unknown is this much. If you know this much, the unknown becomes that much.
True.
So it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have this audacity to understand reality. There's a energy which has created you. You cannot look back at it and understand it.
Yeah.
When you look back, it's gone somewhere else.
And it is unknowable.
Yeah,
It is unknowable. Yeah, it
and
is-
you should be easy
Yeah.
with that uncertainty
True.
and unknowable.
True.
And we have this sense of self being that we are nothing. I think maybe the consciousness is experiencing itself through us.
True.
I love the 3 words. Our stay on this earth is short, our roles dispensable, and our impact inconsequential. If you internalize that, you will not
That's
have a
nice.
huge ego.
That's nice. That's very nice.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was
Something.
Irfan, it was so nice to meet you.
Once a year,
If you
maybe.
ever come to San Francisco,
Sure.